Welcome back to the Den Huskies Warming House Podcast, fans. It's the Road to 300 Apparel Giveaway Special. I am Nick Maxson, joined once again by my co-host Noah Grant. Noah, honestly, I'm glad we're actually at this day. It's been a long time coming for the Road to 300, not the Throat to 300. What the heck is on my mind tonight? But anyway, it was a couple of weeks. We finally got it there. We're very excited to give away some of our swag again. Couple of these hats as well as some t-shirts behind you sitting up there in North Dakota will be given to some of our lucky fans and followers. I want you to kind of break down to those who will be watching this how this whole process is going to go and just exactly where folks can find this information if they're not able to join us here the next couple of days.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, thank you to all of our fans for joining us here. It'll be Wednesday when you're hearing this. Of course, we're recording Tuesday night for you to get everything all nice and packaged. So if you hadn't remembered by now, today at noon on Tuesday was the deadline for your name to be entered in the drawing. So we have 314 Twitter followers and 87 Facebook followers that we plan on doing some giveaways for. However, all 314 of those followers on the Twitter page are not people, shall we say. Some of them are athletic pages. So we've whittled it down to 281 of you fine listeners of the Huskies Warming House podcast that get a chance at 7 apparel items for the Twitter page, and then whittled it down to 77 people for the Facebook page that get a chance at an extra Huskies Warming House podcast t-shirt as well. So if you follow both the Twitter page and the Facebook page, you technically have 2 chances.
Double entry. Yeah.
So kind of cool there. So we're going to jump right into it in just a second here. But before we do, because of the limitations of our Zoom platform and the ability to share across, multiple screens at the same time, we're going to obviously jump to the drawing, which is going to be digital. But we do have a master list of both the Twitter follower list and the Facebook follower list that we're going to put up on our website so that you can see, yes, my name was in there. I was entered in this drawing. And if your name isn't in there, give us a gripe. And I don't know, we'll have to.
Give us a gripe. You're the one that's handling this tonight. So give Noah Grant some gripes. So
yeah, we'll have to talk to HR, next HR.
Yes.
So
I'll be handling all the emails for you.
Yeah, so we're going to jump into our kind of draft style. I suppose we're going to jump right into it right away. But right before we do, Nick, we do also have some special content and a special interview coming up after we do this drawing. So regardless of whether or not you do get some apparel from us, we have some bonus content for you to listen to on your fine Wednesday afternoon or wherever you get to it on whatever you listen to your podcasts for, or for those of you joining us on the YouTube page. Thanks for joining us. Okay, Nick, that's enough of all this housekeeping BS. Let's get into the real fun, shall we? I feel like it's time. So to kind of verify for people, you can see we're on this is the Facebook page right now, but we're going to jump to the Twitter one here. As you can see, 281 names of Twitter handles sitting in here, and we will remove your name after you win, so you don't have a chance to win twice in the same drawing here. And we're using a website called namepicker.com. So in case you want any verification. So Nick, can you verify that the 281 followers for Twitter are plugged into the name picker system?
As the commissioner of the Husky Warming House podcast, Gary Bettman, yes, I can tell you there's 281 Twitter human being followers with a pulse that love hockey, love our show, and are ready to have their name picked for some HWH swag. All
right, well, let's rock and roll with the first lottery ball thing, majigger. All right, our first winner is at Brett Hader, BRETTHAIDER. Congratulations, Brett. Nick, can you verify Brett Hader is our first winner?
He is the first overall pick. Don't really know the scouting report there on Brett Hader. I'm guessing he's a defenseman because, as a Brett, they're always usually typically a defenseman. So don't really see too many Brett forwards, but congratulations, Brett. You're the number 1 overall pick. Sadly enough, they get to go to who was the first overall pick in tonight's NHL draft. That would have been, I think that would be New York Rangers. So you get to go to the Jersey Blue out there in Madison Square Garden. So congratulations, Brett. Thanks again for following us.
So Brett will be the first one to win a t-shirt, to clarify there. So we are giving away 6 t-shirts in this first round, and then the 7th apparel item will be a Huskies Warming House hat, and then followed by our last HWH t-shirt for our Facebook followers. So we're going to go ahead with the second pick here, Nick. And at Team Euro Disney is our second winner. I think that's a person. When I read it, I'm pretty sure it's a person. But Nick, can you verify at Team Euro Disney is our second winner?
That's got to be a goaltender, honestly. Team Euro Disney, that just sounds like a goaltender mentality, does it not? I mean, they're always just different people. They could just look at the world differently. Again, I'm not sure if this guy's 6'6" or 5'7", but I'm pretty sure they can stop the puck well. Congratulations at Team Euro Disney. You are overall pick number 2 going to the Los Angeles Kings if you were picking tonight.
Gotta love it. Second apparel item, second t-shirt on its way out. And our third t-shirt, Nick, right now is at A Curtis 07.
Alex Curtis, yes, Mr. Alex Curtis. Alex Curtis is definitely a former defenseman. Definitely, first pairing defenseman. Definitely former UTVS first line defenseman. He was actually one of the first guys that taught me how to use the Adobe Premiere and Photoshop and a couple of other things when I first was starting out as a freshman back in 2017 at the University of St. Cloud. So, Alex Curtis, congratulations for going third overall to the Ottawa Senators. I'm sorry, that doesn't mean you get a giant paycheck raise because of who owns the Ottawa Senators, but you do get a nice HWH for those who know any but of the alphabet, a nice t-shirt going your way.
Yeah, I feel bad for him, of course, teaching you how to do this craft, because that means you're here sitting with me tonight, which is really unfortunate. But
I know, right?
Anyway,
you can blame him. He's got to me where I am today, so you can certainly write a nicely worded DM to him later on tonight.
All right. Without further suspense, the number 4 t-shirt going to, I believe, the Detroit Red Wings is at 1 Rogers EHS. 1 ROGERS, capital EHS is our winner there. That sounds like a company name in and of itself. I know it's a person, but it sounds kind of official.
Well, first of all, they're pretty confident. They have the number 1 in the name, so they're probably in the first line center. Definitely going again to one of those high. Was it Detroit at number 4?
Yep.
Yeah, today Detroit. So you get to go to the Motor City, but more importantly, HWH swag t-shirt going to you. Congratulations at 1 Rogers EHS, and again, thank you for being a loyal fan to the Huskies Warming House podcast.
Yeah, hopefully Detroit will feel good with that consolation prize at number 4. Moving on to number 5, it's the Senators again, and it's at J Clarson 0202. So JCLARSON 02. You are our 5th winner for our 5th t-shirt giveaway. Nick, I think
it's JC Larson, not Jay Clarson. That's what I'm going to guess, but that's why I'm the host and not you, honestly, sometimes. But at the end of the day, going back to the Ottawa Senators, they get some more cheap labor up there in the heart of Ontario. Congratulations, JC Larson, getting the t-shirt again from us here. Myself, Nick, and Noah from the Huskies Warming House podcast. Congratulations. And again, thanks for listening and following us all over social media, Twitter, as well as Facebook.
Only 2 more t-shirts to go. 1 left for the round of Twitter followers here. Of course, our first Huskies Warming House podcast t-shirt was given to our friend Bill Prout at Center Ice View and Huskies Illustrated. Once again, shout out to him and all the great things that he's been able to do for us as we move into our last Huskies Warming House podcast t-shirt for our Twitter followers. And our winner is at Mike_Lutz13, MIKE_LUTZ13. Nick, gotta love it.
This is your scoring winner, right here, Mike Lutz. Number 13, I'm going to guess. He's probably that nice, heavy left shot forward there, loves to go on his off wing. Probably got a bomb of a one-timer, but Mike Lutz getting our final t-shirt in this round. Again, congratulations. And again, thank you for being a loyal listener to myself as well as Noah here on the Huskies Warming House podcast. Check your mail soon. You're going to get some nice swag coming through in the mail here pretty soon.
Yeah. So Nick, I think before we do our last, our hat, I should say, for our Twitter followers, let's jump over to the Facebook group here. Nick, 77 names here for our Facebook page. Only 1 t-shirt to be given away for this group though. So if you follow the Facebook page, you're hopefully in for a treat here as we're going to submit our only pick here. And this one definitely can get behind this one. Matthew Semich, writer for actually USCHO, is writer for my hometown newspaper, the Botno Courant. Covered UNO, the Nebraska Omaha Mavericks, for quite some time, and does some pretty fantastic work with his sports coverage. Fun fact for all you fans out there, Nick, he's 6'11" and has, I believe it's a brother that is in the Miami Dolphins system. So congratulations to Matt. Geez, I don't know if we have a t-shirt that's going to be big enough for him, but we'll figure it out. We'll
figure it out.
We'll find a way. And with that, Nick, we're going to jump right back into our last giveaway, of course, our Huskies Warming House hat for our Twitter crowd. All right. So now let's jump into, I think, the moment a lot of people have been waiting for. We've had some pretty rave reviews for these hats so far, and our first hat is going to be given away, and our last apparel item for our first ever drawing and our road to 300 here. And the pick is Nick, our winner of a Huskies Warming House hat presented by Unreal, is at Bub10K, BUB10K. Nick, any idea?
Bub, you talk about Arkansas. This sounds like Louisiana, doesn't it not? Like, hey, Bub, 10K. This guy, it's got to be a runner. It's got to be a sprinter would be my guess if you're throwing 10K. Or maybe he's got 10,000 followers. I'm not sure. But, Bub, either way, you're getting this fresh Unreal HWH hat. Again, brought to us by the Unreal Company out of St. Paul, Minnesota. So you're supporting local. Again, we thank you as well as everybody that keeps following us here on the Huskies Warming House podcast. Again, without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do this. We wouldn't be having as much fun as we do and covering from college hockey to the minors to the NHL. This has been an absolute blast, and this is our way to give back to all of our loyal listeners. And Bob, again, congratulations on being selected as the random winner for our hat today. And congratulations to everybody who walks away tonight with a Huskies Warming House hat or a t-shirt. Congratulations to all those winners. And for those who didn't win this time around, maybe we'll have another one in the future. You're still winners in my head. I'm sure you are too, as with Noah Grant. And we do appreciate all the followership that we have on this channel, whether you're listening to us here on Podbean, on iTunes, or watching us via YouTube and all different outlets that are out there. Again, your support means the most to myself as well as to my co-host Noah. And again, I don't think, you don't get to a place like this unless you have the support that we do. We're very thankful for that, Noah Grant. As we have some special content to get into, you had a very good opportunity to sit down with somebody that we could say it was quite miraculous back in the day.
Yeah, this was actually one of my first reporting type endeavors when I was in St. Cloud. This comes back, I believe, in early November, and it was prepping for, of course, the February of 2020, which was the 40th anniversary of the Miracle on Ice victory for the United States over what would have been the Soviet Union, the USSR, in the 1980s. En route to one of the biggest upsets in hockey history, arguably the biggest upset in hockey history, unless you count the Summit Series, but we're not going to debate that. That's a heck of a debate. But this one was really special for me to sit down with. It was head coach of the University of Wisconsin women's hockey team and, of course, gold medalist on the 1980 Olympic team. Mr. Mark Johnson was able to sit down for 15 minutes with me to talk about that Miracle on Ice run. So we kind of figured, it's one of those interviews that obviously we don't have video for and has kind of a unique place for us as hockey fans, but also a unique place for us as the show, as, of course, Mark is not a St. Cloud State alum, but is a Wisconsin Badger alum. So, but nonetheless, very fitting for the game of hockey. And we feel it's very fitting for you as hockey fans to get just a little bit of extra content from the Huskies Warming House podcast. So, Nick, we're going to kind of bid sayonara to this episode and introduce our friend Mark Johnson to finish out the show. And we wish you guys a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday afternoon or whenever you're listening to our show. Here's Mark Johnson. Pleased to be joined by a man who has 669 NHL games, 508 points in those games, a five-time national champion as a coach of the Wisconsin women's hockey team. Of course, he won a national championship with his father, Badger Bob Johnson, in 1977 as a freshman in Wisconsin. Also was the first Badger to earn WCHA Rookie of the Year, but most importantly, what we're here to talk about, 1980 Olympic gold medalist and I believe tournament MVP, Mark Johnson. It's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
So, first of all, since we are on St. Cloud State University soil and we are in the Herb Brooks National Hockey Center, what most people don't know is that the 8 teams of Pool A and top 4 teams of Group B in 1979 in the World Championships were invited to the Olympic tournament. And that was the tournament format, and it was pretty tough making the team, obviously. You were able to do that. Kind of talk about that process, about making that Olympic team and what Herb Brooks was like.
That's a lot right there. The team process of, trying to make the team, I mean, they had 3 different tryouts throughout the United States, and basically from that, obviously you had scouts that were, putting together a roster of people that were going to get invited at that time to the Summer National Sports Festival in Colorado Springs. And They divided everybody up on 4 teams with 20 players on a team, and then had a sports festival where guys were playing, and obviously the scouting staff and Herb and his group, as any coach will do when you're trying to pick a team, the first probably 8 or 10 guys are pretty easy, just because what history shows you is those players were trying out what they what's in their portfolio. The next 5 or 6 are, there's going to be conversations, I think, where it becomes challenging. And I had it with when I was putting together the 2010 women's Olympic team to go up to Vancouver. The same thing. You get down to those last 5 or 6 players, and then you get down to the last 1 or 2. That's where it becomes hard. And so I think for a lot of players, the dream of getting a chance to play on that national team and eventually the Olympic team were in the back of a lot of players' minds. And for the 26 that came out of the Colorado Springs Sports Festival, everybody was excited. But also in the back of everybody's mind, some players, there were 6 players that were not going to make it out of those 26. So eventually it got down to the 20, and we spent a lot of time together. That group of players that basically was down to 22 as we started our tour of playing 60 games on the road, or a 60-game exhibition schedule. 48 of them were on the road. So during that process, you got to know one another. You develop friendships. Even though I played at Wisconsin, half the team seemed to be from Minnesota and playing for the Gophers. You had some players from Duluth, and then you had a group of players that were from the eastern teams, mostly BU. So I think having those exhibition games and spending so much time on the road gave everybody an opportunity to really get to know one another. It's like a family. You have good days, you have bad days, you have great games, and you have games that you struggle in. And I think that whole process helped us develop those friendships, which eventually got us to the point that we became a team.
You enter the Olympic tournament, and you have to get through the preliminary round in order, obviously, to make the medal round. And one of the most pivotal games that I think a lot of people overlook is that 2-2 tie against Sweden, and then obviously you're able to take that into a 7-3, what was deemed an upset against Czechoslovakia. Can you take us through, first of all, the Sweden game?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was a game that was played before actually the Olympics opened up. After our Sweden game, the following day was going to be opening ceremony, so again, everybody was excited within our group because you took the trip from our last exhibition game against the Russians at Madison Square Garden and got on the bus knowing that you had made the Olympic team and going up to experience that. And so I think the Sweden game was really a wake-up call for us because we were excited to be part of the Olympics. You're fulfilling a dream. But, in the first period of that game, we didn't play very well, and Herb let us know that, woke us up a little bit. And then, the second half of the game, we played much better. And, Billy Baker scores, when we pulled our goalie in the last minute of the game, which really started things and started the momentum and the excitement within our locker room. And I think started the process of, the people that were coming to Lake Placid. Most of them were probably going to watch speed skating with Eric Heiden and what he was about to do, and obviously skiing and figure skating. I don't think a lot of people were coming to Lake Placid to watch our men's hockey team, but I think that game started the process. And then when we beat the Czechs in the next game, which was one of the teams that was favored to upset the Russians, we got everybody's attention. So those first 2 games were crucial.
Then obviously you do make it to the medal round, and of course you do play, the Miracle on Ice game against the Soviet Union, where you yourself had 2 goals, including one of the most iconic goals, scoring with a second left in the first period, which I believe you asked who would have been an opponent of yours in that game, but then a future teammate, why Vladislav Tretiak was pulled after that game, and he just said, Coach Crazy.
Yeah, that was, it was a unique game and obviously a very memorable game, and people look back on it and try to figure out how we were able to, get to the end and have more goals than the Russians did, because obviously they were powerful. The year before they had beaten an NHL All-Star team 6-0, and I think one of the things that we were able to do, we were able to hang with them from the scoring standpoint. So the longer you hang with a team and you hang around, you get into that third period, as we've all seen that been around hockey for a long time. Funny things happen. So obviously scoring the goal at the end of the first period got us into the locker room. Instead of being down 2-1, you're up 2-2, and it's a whole different mindset. And As you enter the second period, instead of having to beat them for 60 minutes, now it's down to 40. And even though we didn't play very well in the second period and got outshot pretty good, the score was only 3-2. And so now instead of 40 minutes, you're down to 20 minutes. And if you're able to score the next goal, it makes the game interesting, which we were able to do. I scored on a power play about halfway through, and before the crowd was able to settle in, Mike scores the go-ahead goal. So now you're really in an uncomfortable position because now you're leading, but yet there's still 10 minutes to go. And so we were able to do things in that last 10 minutes that we're prepared to do as far as our conditioning and our ability to skate with the Russians, and we got to the finish line, obviously.
Yeah. And then, of course, people also fail to remember that you still had to beat a team in Finland to actually capture a gold medal. And as Herb Brooks would say, if you don't win this hockey game down after the second period, you'll take it to your grave. To put it in lighter terms, of course, you had a hand in the game-tying goal and then added an insurance marker. What was that like?
It was, again, it was sort of our MO where, first part of the game, we didn't play up to our capabilities. Even after two periods, being down 2-1. I think as we entered the third period, we were a very confident group. I think as we left the locker room, of all the things that we've been through to get us to that point, and certainly the game on Friday night afternoon against the Russians, you didn't want that to go to waste. So I think we knew in the back of our mind we were going to win the game against Finland. We just didn't know how we were going to win it. And we actually came out in that third period against Finland and probably played the best 20 minutes of the entire tournament, and obviously got to the end knowing that really the first time in the entire tournament that we controlled our own destiny. If we won the game, we're going to win the gold medal. If we lost the game, the same impact, but in a negative way, was going to happen because we had upset the Russians and we might not have gotten a medal. So I think everybody knew the magnitude of the game. And, when Phil scored early in the third period, Robbie McClanahan scored, the go-ahead goal. And then we had a couple penalties we had to kill off late in the game, but we were able to get a shorthanded goal and solidify the victory. So, again, you still have to play the game, and the Finns had a great team. Everybody can remember the name Jari Kurri, who was a young player at that time, ended up coming over and playing for Edmonton with Gretzky, winning Stanley Cups, being in the Hall of Fame. They had a good team, and it wasn't going to be easy, and we certainly didn't make it easy, but that last 20 minutes was something special. Yeah,
absolutely. And you talk about medal implications, also implications politically when you were playing the Soviet Union. Did you really think about that, or just another hockey game?
No, I don't think that, we didn't have the ability to access information like we do today with the computer, with Twitter, with Facebook, with everything. No matter where it happens in the world, you can find out about it instantly. And so you take all that stuff away. We're playing in Lake Placid, a community of 2,500 people, and the only thing you knew that was going on was what was going on in Lake Placid, what was going on outside of Lake Placid. Obviously we were aware of what was going on in Afghanistan and some of the things, but we were there to play hockey and fulfill a dream, and I think that's basically where everybody's mindset was. And what was the task next? We're playing the Russians. Well, you got to get ready to play the Russians. What's next task? Well, you're in the gold medal game. If you win, you're in the gold medal game, so your focus is on that stuff.
Sure. And then my recollection, of course, I was born in 1996, so I grew up. My first depiction of Mark Johnson is actually Eric Peter Kaiser, who played you in the 2004 movie Miracle. I'm going to assume that you've seen the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Do you enjoy the movie? Do you enjoy the depiction of it? Did they consult you about it for anything? Is it just, what is that experience like?
Well, it's fun because, as you mentioned, you're obviously born after the event, and, your first experience might be, seeing the movie. And so how's the movie portrayed by somebody who didn't actually see the event or saw it in tape delay or is as old as I am that lived through it? And so I think the nice thing about the movie is that people that weren't part of it, weren't born yet, can look at something and walk away from the movie and feel good not only about the U.S. hockey team, but being an American citizen, and how special it was to have a special event happen during a time where a lot of people weren't happy about being American or weren't happy about the way things were going. And so none of us knew and realized the impact that a hockey game in the middle of the Adirondacks would have an effect on so many people. So having been part of the movie, having watched the movie, knowing obviously what was going on within the movie, it's very heartwarming that people can look at it, walk away from it, and then watch it 20 more times and still enjoy it. And that's what we run into, where kids and their families and teams, no matter what sport you play, can watch it and still enjoy it. So having people tell us about that, tells me that the movie was special and people are affected by watching it.
Yeah, absolutely. I could name myself and a lot of friends who could probably quote almost every line, of course, growing up. And my last question for you, obviously, you win a gold medal in 1980. You've been on the national stage for a long time. You move into the NHL, and then you move into coaching. For you, that experience, what have the changes in hockey been like? Obviously, the Olympics used to be college athletes only, and then, of course, you grew up in the small towns, where you were back in the day, and now kids 14, 15 are selling themselves out to go play AAA across the country.
Oh, no, the game has changed. I mean, I look at my days, my 11 years in the NHL, and how the game was played back then, and the implement, last decade of new rules to try to open up the game, give those skilled players an opportunity to showcase their talent. And I think even now, as I speak to you, you see a transition in the NHL where now it is becoming a much younger, team. You look at some of the teams and the makeup of their teams, a lot of young 21-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 19-year-olds playing in the league, where, 10 years ago, it was more of the veterans and the leadership and those type of things. And so the game has changed. I think the exciting part of it is the exposure of the game to different areas now, with NHL teams in Phoenix, in Texas, multiple NHL teams in Florida, in California, and what I've seen, especially on the women's side, is the growth of the game of hockey. And last year, USA Hockey set a record of more kids than ever that are 8 and under. And so the visibility, the exposure, the opportunity for kids to play the game, to me, is the exciting part, because as I look back, the game was very good to myself. It was good to my family. And to get more kids involved and them an opportunity to play the great game and the enjoyment that they can take away from it, with more rinks, more kids playing, more visibility, to me is the really exciting part about where hockey is right now compared to where it was even 10 years ago, and certainly where it was when I was growing up.
Mark, I appreciate you taking the time, and best of luck in the future.
Thank you. Appreciate talking with you.